Question, how many commissioners do we need on the zoning committee to do business?
3.
3, okay,
It looks like we have 4
Right.
at the moment.
okay. Okay, I'll go ahead and start. It's not expected to be a long meeting today, so let's see. I'll do the opener first. The July 29th, 2021 meeting of the Zoning Committee of the St. Paul Planning Commission will now come to order. Welcome, everyone. For the record, the chair of the Planning Commission has previously determined that it's not practical or prudent for the Planning Commission and its committees to meet in person pursuant to Minnesota Statute Section 13D02. Considering the COVID-19 health pandemic, it's not feasible for any member of the zoning committee to be present at our regular location. Committee members attending this meeting are doing so by telephone or other electronic means. It's also not feasible for members of the public to attend the meeting at its regular location due to the health pandemic and emergency. Arrangements have been made so that applicants and members of the public may also attend this meeting by telephone or other electronic means. Accordingly, no meeting is being held at City Hall Council Chambers on Keller Boulevard. Again, this is not a public hearing today, but the meeting is being conducted remotely due to COVID-19. This meeting is also being recorded. And even though it is being conducted remotely, the committee's public or the rules and procedures still apply. Let's see, the zoning committee's recommendations and findings must have a rational basis based upon the St. Paul zoning code and applicable state and federal laws. The zoning committee's actions today are recommendations. They are not final decisions. The committee's recommendations are then forwarded to the Planning Commission for final action. The committee's recommendations will be considered by the full Planning Commission at its regular meeting held 1 week from Friday. The Planning Commission's meeting is open to the public, but it's not a public hearing. The decisions of the Planning Commission on the conditional use permits, non-conforming use permits, site plans, variances, and other zoning permits are final decisions unless appealed to the City Council. The decisions of the Planning Commission on rezoning applications are only recommendations. By state law, the City Council, following a public hearing before it, makes the final decision on rezoning applications. So since today's meeting is not, does not involve a public hearing, I will not walk us through the rules and regulations for a public hearing, and I'll just proceed to the first agenda item, which is approval of the minutes. So we have 3 sets of minutes. 2 of them I'm going to move forward here. The first set of minutes are concerning the 402 front supportive housing conditional use permit, and that was on July 15th. And I'd like to call for a motion to approve those minutes.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you. Is there a second? That was
Sorry, this Commissioner said, did I say to move or somebody else said?
Commissioner Said made the motion to approve. Is there a second? Anybody?
This is Commissioner Grill. I'll second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Let's do a roll call.
Commissioner Grill,
Yes.
Commissioner Hood,
Yes.
Commissioner Said,
Yes.
Commissioner Tagioff,
Yes.
and Chair DeJoy.
Yes.
5 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you. And then moving on to the second set of minutes that we need to move on. Let's see, 695 Grand Avenue, conditional use permit with variances. And assuming that everyone has had a chance to read the 10 pages of minutes, recording for the public hearing and a lot of discussion, is there a motion to approve those minutes?
This is Commissioner Grill. I would move the minutes.
Second?
Commissioner Sayed, second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Can we have a roll call?
Commissioner Grill,
Yes.
Commissioner Hood,
Yes.
Commissioner Said,
Yes.
Commissioner Tagia,
Yes.
and Chair DeJoy.
Yes.
5 in favor, 0 opposed.
Great, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the site plan review that is scheduled for Tuesday, August 3rd. And that agenda item is the Highland Bridge, Lot 1, Block 11, multifamily residential at 861 Cretin Avenue, and Joseph Paris and Ryan Companies. So that will be held at 9 o'clock in the morning. So, and the other agenda item we have is old business. It's concerning the 1945 Rome lot split appeal. At the last meeting, it was laid over to get some clarification on some of the issues that were discussed. So I'll turn it over to our staff, city planner, Marilyn Rosenthal. Welcome, Marilyn.
Thank you. Good afternoon, commissioners of the zoning committee. I'll go ahead and share my screen here. Oops. Are you seeing the presentation? Or no, not yet. Okay. Are you able to see the presentation?
We see your desktop.
Okay. Sorry about that. I'm not sure what's happening here. There we go.
If you hit share content, there's probably a there should be like a section that says PowerPoint Live. You should be able to choose.
I have a circle going around. There we go.
There it is.
All right.
I
So
can
yes.
see it.
Okay, great. So yes, it is an appeal of the lot split for 1945 Rome Avenue. The subject property is outlined in blue. You can see that it has vested R4 development rights and is situated within an R4 district. We're jumping right to the amendments of the staff report to clarify what the changes or additions were between the July 15th staff report and this most recent for today's meeting. And here's a summary outline of what those changes were. First, there was no change to staff findings in response to the 3 specified grounds for appeal. There was clarification of the certificate of survey and grading plans used by staff in 2019 for the lot split review and approval process. Additionally, there was clarification that staff used the minimum building width of 22 feet as per section 66.233 to determine compliance with section 69.3047 slope of building pad. Upon further legal review, clarification needed to be added that the building grade pad condition is outside of the initial 10-day appeal period for that decision, and that it was called for a review of the Planning Commission's role and potential to modify the decision being appealed with reasonable conditions. So accordingly, staff did revise the recommendation to add standards of development on residential on steep slopes as conditions in compliance with section 63.111. And I wanted to jump just a brief outline of what that section of the code entails. So it does apply to this site that is greater than 12%. And it provides an engineering report slope on slope stability and hydrology at the discretion of the zoning administrator. It does provide buildings should be designed to fit into the hillside without significant regrading, and that preservation of existing trees with submission of a tree preservation and replacement plan, preventing excessively tall retaining walls and unattractive trough-shaped yards and multi-story buildings to reduce the area of the building footprint. So that's a summary of that section of the code. So the recommendation for staff based on these findings is denial of the appeal, which is an affirmation of the lot split approval by the planning zoning administrator for 1945 Rome, but subject to the following conditions. So first, the development must comply with zoning code section 63.111, residential development on steep slopes, the requirements and standards. And the 2 new houses shall be set back at least 7 feet from neighboring lots 6 and 9, designed with at least 2 stories to minimize the building footprints, and designed to fit into the site without significant regrading to protect the stability of the slopes and preserve existing trees while preventing excessively tall retaining walls and unattractive trough-shaped yards between the buildings and the retaining walls. So that's the first condition. And the second is that all grading and new construction on the lots must be designed to minimize grading within 5 feet of neighboring lots 6 and 9 and to protect neighboring property from surface water drainage. So that is staff's recommendation. So it was just amended. It's the same recommendation for denial of approval, but amended with these 2 conditions. And then just a reminder that the Highland District Council does not take a position on the appeal. I do have exhibits and additional information in the slides from the previous presentation as needed, and staff is available here to answer any questions that the commission may have.
Commissioner Hood?
Thank you, sitting Chair DeJoy. Question for staff. So we have 2 new conditions that are placed on as part of the staff recommendation. Could you talk to us about how what is the enforcement mechanism for these? Is this just something that staff will deal with when the buildings come to DSI? Or how do you go about dealing with the enforcement mechanism? Thank you.
Yeah, so it's a condition of the building plans to move forward, and that would be reviewed. And this is basically a direction to staff to take a really close look at this and to ensure that the teeth of the language says shall, not should. So it's not a consideration of each of these items in section 63.111, but it's a shall. So it is directing the developers that they must do this, and staff will be, DSI is copied and coordinating with PED on this and is aware of this case and will be made aware of these conditions moving forward in their regular review process. That's my understanding. I hope that.
Thank you. I have a follow-up question, if that's all right. The follow-up question would be is pertaining to potential future variances for, let's just say, the site plan or when this development moves forward. Is there anything that would allow the developer to get the approval on the lot split and then they come back and then try to do a variance when they go to develop the homes? Is that something that is plausible? Because that's something that I'd like to prevent. You see these cases where you give approval and then the next thing you know, they're back 2-3 months later with kind of a variance that in some regards runs counter to what previous conditions may have been. Thank you. That's all.
Well, Katie and Louise can also comment if they see it a little differently, but in this case, it is the lot area dimensions. It is tight, but it's doable, and it's not requiring a variance for the slopes. And so there wouldn't be anything that they would need to require a variance on, as far as I'm aware. And so it's just fitting the two homes in appropriately by nestling it into the existing slope and minimizing that grading. So I don't see that it's possible of that happening, but Peter is not here today. I don't know if Louise and Katie agree with me on that, but do you have any comment?
Nope. Thank you very much for your responses. Appreciated. Thank you.
And before I go to Commissioner Tagioff, Luis, did you have anything to add?
Chair DeJoy, and commissioners, not really. I would reiterate what Marilyn said. When I was looking at the proposed conditions, noting that, setting back 7 feet from the lots, and minimizing grading within 5 feet of the lots, they're working with about 2 feet. So it's going to be pretty tight, but we believe it's doable. And if there is a variance need, DSI staff will flag that, and likely that could go through the Board of Zoning Appeals as needed. But as of right now, these conditions, which are already in the code, would always apply either way. We're just ensuring that the applicant is aware of them, and that this is what we'll be looking at if adopted as recommended.
Thank you. Commissioner Tagioff.
Thank you, Chair. Just one question. The last time we met, the appellant pointed out some technical concerns. There were 2 separate surveys done which appeared not to agree with one another. And one of those appeared to be lacking a signature or another formal requirement. I wonder if we ever came to resolution on that piece.
Yeah, we did. Are you able to see the certificate of survey that's provided
Yes.
now on there? So this is one of 2. This was, it is a signed and stamped survey by David McGibbons, dated August 26th of 2019. So this was provided to DSI and to staff. We just didn't have this exhibit, this in the last presentation. It needed to be pulled from the record, but we had this, which was October 26th stamp received, and this was a grading plan that was used. And then the existing home that was torn down, this building pad here, staff used this as well. There's an extensive section in the staff report that goes to show that there is adequate space at the minimum, even greater than minimum 22 feet width, building width, to build 2 new homes on 2 building pads here. And it basically covers just greater than these, just slightly greater than these 2 areas here, with the setbacks. So that is a text narrative in the staff report that went on to describe and clarify how staff used these 2 exhibits during the approval process. So that is what satisfied, in discussions with Peter, satisfied his question about how staff went about utilizing the contours and this survey. So I think that's what these 2 exhibits here, that's what clarified the question that Peter raised.
Thank you. That's really great.
Thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Rosendahl from any of the commissioners? Okay, so we have to take some action today. As it stands, 945 Rome lot split appeal. The appeal of the lot split approving by the planning and administrator between Howell and Wilder. The staff recommendation here is denial of the appeal based on staff findings. And the district council is not taking a position. That would be District 15. And no letters in support or opposition have been received. Is anyone entertaining a motion to support staff recommendation? Or oppose it?
So thanks, Mr. DeJoy. It looks like Commissioner Hood had a question. His hand will raise it.
I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Commissioner Hood, do you have a,
Commissioner DeJoy and Commissioner Said, I do not have a question.
okay. So would someone entertain a motion?
This is Commissioner Grill. I will make a motion to support the staff report and refuse the appeal.
Is there a second to that motion? Thank you, Commissioner Grill. The motion is to deny the appeal based on staff findings. Is there a second?
I'll second Commissioner Tagioff.
Thank you, Commissioner Tagioff. It's been moved and seconded. I think we can call the question. So, roll call.
Joy,
Yes,
Commissioner Joy, could I clarify that what the recommendation is? Is it a denial of the appeal, or is it also denial of the appeal and requiring the conditions in the staff report?
This is Commissioner Grill. I can amend my motion to include the additional conditions called out in the staff report.
thank you, Ms. Dadless, and thank you, Commissioner Grill, for clarifying the motion. And it's been seconded by Commissioner Tagioff. So are we ready to take a vote? Okay, roll call, please.
Well, can I ask a question really quick? Sorry, I joined late, Commissioner DeJoy.
Yes.
And my question is I assume everything was filed on time with regards to the appeal.
Yeah,
Ms. Rosendahl?
there were two appeal periods. So there was a 10-day appeal period at the time of preliminary approval, at which point there was no submitted application to appeal. And then when the final approval letter went out, after all of the conditions were satisfied, that staff directed the developer to do in the letter, then there was a second 10-day appeal. And when this application came in by the appellate Pennings and Ames, the joint appellants families on this, they did make that within the 10-day period for the second appeal period.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Hood,
Yes.
Commissioner Said,
Yes.
Commissioner Tagia,
Yes.
Commissioner Grill,
Yes.
Commissioner Ringo Morales,
Yes.
and Chair DeJoy.
Yes.
6 in favor, 0 opposed.
Great. Is there any other, I think we got through the agenda. Anyone else have any comments to make before we close the meeting?
Commissioner DeJoy,
Yes.
I think Samantha might have needed to take attendance, unless that was done while I wasn't paying attention.
Okay, can we do that now?
Okay, Commissioner DeJoy,
Here?
Commissioner Grill,
Here.
Commissioner Hood,
Here.
Commissioner Ringo Morales,
Here.
Commissioner Said,
Here.
and Commissioner Tagia.
Here.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. And I apologize for that. I just kind of jumped in here kind of at the last minute, so I wasn't very prepared to chair this. Apologize for my bumbling through it.
No, thank you for that. Thank you
Okay,
for stepping up.
great. Okay, well, thank you, everybody. I think we can leave the meeting and I'll see you next week at the Planning Commission. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anne.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.